All right, we give praise, esteem, and honor to the living Alahym. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. Pick it up. John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. No shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can we believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Alahym only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. If you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? So with that being said, we're going to make an adjustment. You know, we've been dealing in the book. I think I mentioned it the other day. I thought it came back to my mind. And by the grace of Alahym, to switch over to the book of Psalms and do the same thing. Now, I'm not going to try to attempt to cover all 150 divisions, unless that be you who is will, then we will do so, do as such. I think that for the most part, we've almost covered all 31 chapters of the book of Proverbs, if not all of it, darn near close to it, because we've been in that book of Proverbs for well over a year. So, praise be to Alahym in the name of Yahushua for everything that we were able to glean from what we found in the book of Proverbs as relates to his testimony. And now let's come over here to Psalm 54 and let's make it do what it do. Hold on. Yo, let me hit you right back because I'm on the live stream. Psalm 54. To the chief musician on Neganoth, magnified himself with us. Now, we've looked at this Psalm 54 before, but I know that you see a different word. Probably most people are used to tell him, but we're going to use a different word that is also used for Psalms. So, yes, what may I do for you? Am I blocking what you're attempting to do at this time? Oh, so why are you here? Why would you want to do that? Nevertheless, carry on. Carry on. It's not cooperating. Shalom, man. So what you see up there for Psalms is Mizmowr. It is melody, and it is a psalm. It is also instrumental music or a poem that is set to notes. And what we have here is Mim, Zayin, Mim, U, and Ra. Shalom, man. So when we take this here, when we look at this song, this melody, and we look at, we won't say chaos or blood or anything of the sort, which is strictly to say this water and this ruach. And we can see the fruitful ruach of Alahym. And this fruitful ruach of Alahym was secured because of the ruach of the Almighty or of the Son of Alahym. So that's what we're going to look at, because when we're looking at this melody, taking this instrumental and putting these words to sound, if you will. Because matter of fact, hold on. Something just came to my mind when it comes to that. Now I can say, depending on the length of the song, that we can definitely cover a lot more ground with these songs. I have something in my mind, and I guess I wasn't correct on that. Nevertheless, let's go back to Psalms 54. Listen to what it says. Save me, O Alahym, by your name, and judge me by your strength. And hear my prayer, O Alahym, and give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me, and oppressors seek after my soul. They have not set Alahym before them. The reason why we started in this Psalms 54, because it still ties into the last verse that we were in the book of Proverbs. I want you to come over there to that book of Proverbs. I want to say that was Proverbs chapter 28. And that is verse 17, where it states that a man that do violence to the blood of any person shall flee into the pit, let no man stay him. So there would be no one to support him. If you remember, that's what stay meant. So the individual David here is making a statement that he should to be saved by the name of Alahym and to be judged by his strength. So there's things for us to glean. This first things first, when we look at being saved, of course, that is Yeshua, and that is Yah, Shan, and Ayin. So you're looking to be liberated and delivered. So let's take a look at this in regards to being saved, O Alahym, by his name. This would be very, very easy. Understand? First and foremost, that's not John, that's Jonah. John chapter 20, verse 27. From John chapter 20 and verse 27 to Romans chapter 10. Then saith he to Thomas, reach here your finger, and behold my hands. Thomas answered and said unto him, my Lord and my Alahym. Yahshua said unto him, Thomas, because you have seen me, you have believed. Baruch are they that have not seen, yet have believed. Many other signs truly did Yahushua in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. But these are written that you might believe that Yahushua is the anointed one, the son of Alahym, and that believing you might have life through his name. Now, let's take a look at something else. Now, I said that right. You got John 20 in your brain, right? Come over here to John chapter 5. We want to come over here to about verse 43. John chapter 5 and verse 43. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. So another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. Now, this is the reason being why I read that. And that is because of Psalms 118, if you would. Because at the end of the day, you're seeking to be saved by the name of your Alahym. Shalom, man. That's where your salvation rests at. And when we look at what your salvation rests in, then we will have to look at a few things. Of course, you can see that here on the chain. You got the yod and the hay and the boot and the hay. So you're sitting around seeing how the right hand or the works of the man with raised arms has secured, or you can behold the works of the man with raised arms as he was crucified. I was just telling Ditas here, this ain't even no cap. I done stepped on 2 nails in the last 2 weeks, and both of them pierced my feet to a certain extent. Boy, I do not know how that man did that. Just to have that, these are accidental. That man purposely went and got nailed. My foot throbbing right now. And that junk ain't even go all the way through my foot. And that thing went all the way through his foot. So when you sit back and you think about that and you pay attention to that, he did this because he came in his Father's name. And he came in his authority. He came in his witness. Came in his righteousness. I want you to look over here, Psalms 118. I want you to come over here and look at verse 19. Of course, you who are willing, we'll come to Psalms 118 in isolation on its own. Hot, hot, hot. Psalms 118, you know what? Don't back it up. Because it's all gonna come in together with what we talking about. You go ahead and you give me verse 6. You know what? We'll knock Psalms 118 out on the whole plate. We'll just do the whole thing. Because who are willing to attend is to do Psalms 52 and 54 before we get out of here this evening. Psalms 118 just join the list so we can scratch that off. It's 147 more to go. Psalms 118 and 1. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is good, because his mercy endures forever. Let Yasharal now say that his mercy endures forever. Now, that endure is not there. It's just simply the forever. It's simply olam. If you already know, long duration, forever, everlasting, continuous existence is what unending is long lasting. It doesn't go away. Individuals reject it. I was talking with a young woman last night in regards to this, just using it in a natural sense. Stuff that I've been telling y'all for the longest, so this ain't no new breakthrough information for y'all. But just equating to the way that, without even really knowing her, how she behaves towards men, so she could get an understanding of how to behave towards Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? And that is in the regard of Yahuwah has, see, it's easy to go serve other gods because other gods don't require anything from you. You don't have to rise up to the occasion. But I made mention, which I believe, in my personal opinion, why many people don't rise up to the occasion with Yahuwah. It's because most people have low self-esteem. So they don't really believe that they're able and capable of performing a task. Most people would rather fake the funk and then actually stand up and actually put their hand to the plow and do the task. It's so much easier to actually do it than to pretend. Most people get caught up in that because, and see, this is where the adversary comes in at. This is something that we have already discussed as a whole, that Yahuwah is the Alahym of shalom and consolation. There is no chaos, confusion, and disorder or dysfunction where he is present. I've told you in the past, and I'll tell you again, wherever there is dysfunction present, you have to pay attention to who is bringing the dysfunction. You know what I'm saying? If an individual is constantly, because remember, we've talked about this verse before, say, cast out the scorner and the contention will cease. The individuals who bring strife and contention are usually going to are disorderly, dysfunctional, unhealthy individuals. Remember, there is no peace for the wicked. So if there is no peace for the wicked, then how could the wicked actually be functional? Let me say, you shall know them by their fruits. So when you see the dysfunction, when you see the chaos, when you see the constant confusion, and I'm just mentioning that because just to bring back to your mind, this is a reiteration of you are able to know who is of Yahuwah and who is not. You're not going to tell me that somebody's of Yahuwah and they constantly and consistently indulge in constant confusion and chaos. You are a liar, and the truth is not in you. Because there's nowhere in this text where Yahuwah lives allows individuals who he dwells in and they who dwell in him to conduct themselves in such a deplorable and detestable fashion. Let's continue. Verse 3 of Psalm 118. Let the house of Aaron now say that his mercy endure forever. Let them now that fear Yahuwah say that his mercy endures forever. I called upon Yahuwah in distress, and Yahuwah answered me and set me in a large place. Now, when we look at set in a large place, bald-headed whore. Of course, I think we talked about it. This is Merkab. This is a broad, roomy place, an enlargement, but also it can be figuratively referred to in regards to liberty. I want you to look at me, Rosh, Cotton, I. So we already see how the Ruach has separated the son of Alahym. This is how this is able to set him in a large place or to give him freedom. I want you to come to 2 Corinthians chapter 3 in regards to freedom, because you know that if the son shall set you free, you shall be free indeed. What I want us to be able to understand and what we're talking about is freedom. Also in regards to this here, because we were just talking about this here, because dude seeing that Kyrie Irving is observing Ramadan and he's a Muslim, and I think some people felt like he knew the truth, or whatever the case may be, because I guess he said something about us being Israelites, and I just let that know that all that did is, because this man is a professor of medicine, all that did is reinforce the fact our people are easily deceived, because you're looking for somebody to come in their own name and not come in the name of Yahuwah. You come in to tell somebody they're Israelite, I just want you to know you're coming in the name of a man. If you think that you come in the name of Yahuwah with that level of information, you come in with the name of a man, because you come in with carnal teachings. Because if you're not coming with the gospel of Yahushua, then what are you really coming with? Because that's what the apostle came with, and that's what the Lord himself came with. Because that's the only thing that contains life. Because you have to believe on his name, as we read in Psalm 54, oh, Alahym, save me by your name. How you going to be saved by the name? And judge him by your strength. But we're going to deal with all of that tonight. Thank the Lord. Well, that's how we're going at. I don't even remember. We can come over here to Romans chapter 10, though. Huh? I can't hear you. Did I say? Oh, yes. 2 Corinthians chapter 3. We still got to go to Romans chapter 10, by the way. I want you to come to 2 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 13. Not as Moses, 2 Corinthians 3 and 13. Not as Moses, which put a veil over his face, that the sons of Yasharal could not steadfastly look to the end of that which is abolished. But their minds were blinded, for unto this day the same veil untaken away in the reading of the Old Testament, which veil is done away in Hamashiach. But even unto this day, when Moses is read, the veil is upon their heart. Nevertheless, when it shall turn to the Lord, the veil shall be taken away. Now the Lord is that Ruach. And where the Ruach of the Lord is, there is freedom. And of course, we know that freedom is from sin and from death. Now, of course, we know that when Yahushua was in distress, when he was exceedingly sorrowful, even unto death, he called upon this man when he was going through Metzar, which is Mim, Sod, and Rosh. And he knew that the way of the Son was to shed blood. That's the straits and distress that he was in. He knew the way he had to go. He had to shed his blood. So therefore, he called upon his father while he was in that distress. Let's take a look at it. Matthew chapter 26. And again, remember, right? Anybody who seeks to slay somebody, they ought to flee into a pit, and they should get no support. Remember, if we go against the word, we ought to flee into a pit, and we're going to get no support. He's not assisted. And again, that's a man that does violence, and we know that they did violence to him. Excuse me. Matthew chapter 26. I don't want verse 36. We'll read verse 42 because you already know that he went and prayed. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, "O my Abba, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, your will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, and for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed for the third time, saying the same words. So you know that in Hebrews, it makes reference that he was heard and that he feared, and that he learned obedience from the things that he suffered, because he coming up with strong supplications, crying and tears unto him that is able to save. Let's just go on and get it. Hebrews 5. Hebrews 5 and 5. You know what? Make it Hebrews 5 and 2. Screw it. I'll just go on verse 1. Hebrews 5 and 1. For every high priest taken from among men is ordained for men for things pertaining to Alahym, that he may offer both gifts and sacrifices for sins. We who can have compassion on the ignorant and on them that are out of the way, for he that himself also is compassed with infirmity. See, that's what a lot of brews get messed up at, is a lot of people don't have a level of mercy and compassion on the ignorant. That man knew full well you didn't know what you were doing. So you ought to follow suit. We ain't talking about people who they know what they're doing. That's why he said those who are blind, that he came that they might see, so that they might get some compassion, because he knew they were ignorant and out of the way. See, we like to read that. We like to look at that verse when he told them scribes and Pharisees that, but sometimes, and we focus on what he was telling them on. Oh, you boys know what you're doing. But when you're dealing with the fact of what he was talking about before that, with the people who were blind, that he came to give them eyes to see, because he was seeking to free them. He was having compassion on them because he knew that these people were ignorant and out of the way. Let's continue. And by reason hereof, he ought, as for the people, so also for himself, to offer for sins. No man take this honor unto himself, but he that is called of Alahym, as was Aaron. So also Mashiach esteemed himself, not himself to be made a high priest, but he that said unto him, you are my son, today have I begotten you. Also in another place, you are a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, who in the days of his flesh, when he offered up prayers, supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. And though he were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered. Being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. So let's return. This is what we're looking at, him getting called, calling on Yahuwah in distress. The son knowing that that's the way that he had to go was to shed blood. And that's exactly what he went to do. Verse 6, Psalms 118. Yahuwah is on my side. I will not fear what man can do unto me. Let's go to Psalm 27. We had that on the bucket list. It come up a little early because it has a word that relates to it. Psalm 27:1. Yahuwah is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? For Yahuwah is the strength of my life. Whom shall I be afraid? Luke chapter 11. Luke chapter 11. I'm starting to hurt really, really bad. No, I'm just talking about it is throbbing. It's starting to hurt really, really bad. I'm sorry, it's Luke chapter 12. Luke 12 and verse 5 or verse 4. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. Now, we discussed this before. He said his friends. If you his friend, that means you believe in him. Remember, he said, I don't call you no more servants, but I call you friends. Because he said, greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. We didn't discuss him ad nauseum why Abraham is called his friend, because he believed in Yahuwah and it was counted to him for righteousness. See, if you don't believe the word, he can't save you by his name because you're not his friend. See, he only saved his friends. He only laid his life down for his friends. See, we just got to say, we done discussed that before. That's a whole nother conversation. Are you his friend? Friend is somebody you don't believe in. How you have doubt in your friends? You're supposed to depend on your friends. Hey, I say unto you, fear him. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 farthings, and not one of them is forgotten before Alahym? But even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore, you are more value than many sparrows. And I say unto you, whosoever shall confess me before men, him shall the Son of Man also confess before the Malachim of Alahym. But he that denied me before men shall be denied before the Malachim of Alahym. Whosoever shall speak a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But unto him who blasphemes the Ruach HaKadosh, it shall not be forgiven him. And we don't need all of that. So back to Psalms 27. We're in verse 2. We have Psalms 118, Psalms 54, and Romans chapter 10. Psalms 118 and 2. When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Let's go on ahead and look at it now. Let's come over here to John chapter 18. We're going to do it. This is most of the stuff you know, so it's just a refresher. 18 and 1. Yahushua had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, where was a garden into which he entered, and his disciples. Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Yahushua oft times resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, come thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Yahushua, therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto him, Whom seek you? They answered him, Yahushua Nazareth. Yahushua said unto them, I am he. Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. And as soon as he had said unto them, I am he, they went backwards and fell to the ground. That he is not there. So it said, as many as that he said that I am. But you should know that from John chapter 8. He said, before Abraham was, I am, and they sought to stone him. So the minute when he told them they were Alahym, they stumbled and fell. Because who can come up against Alahym and stand? So there's a passage, and it's escaping me in its totality, but no man can stand before Alahym in that fashion. You're going to fall stumbling backwards and be crushed. That's why they fell down. See, that's another aspect that we overlook. He didn't say, I am he, that he is not there. He told them, I'm Alahym, I'm Yahuwah. When they say, whom seek you? He said, I'm Yahuwah. Yahuwah's here. Of course you're going to fall. You run up against Alahym, stupid. Verse 7, they then asked he them again, whom seek ye? And they said, Yahushua Nazareth. Yahushua answered, I have told you that I am. If you therefore you seek me, let these go their way. Let's go back to Psalms 27. Verse 3. Though a host should encamp against me, which you seeing, my heart shall not fear, which you just seen. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. And of course, he is confident because that is bald-headed skeezer. But Talk, I believe that should say they done changed this thing up. And that's what it is. He has confidence in Alahym. One thing have I desired of Yahuwah that I will seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahuwah all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahuwah and to inquire in his temple. For the time of trouble he shall hide men in his pavilion, in the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me upon a rock. Now shall my head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto Yahuwah. That's why when he got rid of that, that's why you see him singing a hymn. Let's continue. Hear, O Yahuwah, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When you said, seek you my face, my heart said unto you, your face, Yahuwah, will I seek. See, this is the thing, right? Yahushua told you, seek and you find, knock and it shall be answered, ask and it shall be given. See, that's the problem. You were telling people to seek his face and ain't nobody looking. I've given you this analogy before. I'm only mentioning it because I just heard a conversation on a panel of people talking about this here. And the question was, is it important for men to understand women? And of course, well, one of the women was like, absolutely. One woman was like, absolutely not. And of course, the men said, absolutely not. And when you take that and you frame that in the aspect between this man, Yahuwah, and this woman, Yasharal, does he really need to understand Yasharal, or does he need to understand the nature of Yasharal? And is it really more incumbent on that woman, Yasharal, to understand that man? And then when you read the text, that's exactly what it says. That it's more important for this man for the people to seek the understanding of the man. He said he already know your frame, but you but dust, so he already know your nature. He don't need to understand you. See, if you look at it on a natural sense, you don't need to understand a woman. You need to understand her nature. And we've also discussed this. This book tells you about her nature. And we've looked at it and disseminated this information for years. See, that's a new thing. Well, women are like, he doesn't understand me. Why is he seeking to understand you when you don't even understand yourself? I literally heard a woman on that panel say, some days I just go to crying and I don't even know what I'm crying for. Why would a man with good sense even try to seek to understand that? You know what I'm saying? Why would he got things to do? Why would he seek to understand that? Because when you ask, well, what you crying for? I don't even know. But what is he supposed to do with that? What is he supposed to do with that? He can't understand that. He can't understand that. The reason why it's not important because he doesn't follow her. It's more important for her to understand him because she has to follow him. So it's more important for you to understand Yahuwah than for Yahuwah to understand you. Yahuwah don't follow you. You got to follow Yahuwah. But see, we done got so proud that we don't feel like it's important for us to understand him because we feel like we're on equal footing with him. See, that's ugly. That's sin. Let's continue. Verse 9, Psalm 27. Hide not your face far from me, put not your servant away in anger. You have been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O Alahym of my salvation. Y'all already know, my Alahym, my Alahym. Why have you forsaken me? But he did not hide his face from him in anger. He was his help. We've already read that. He said, when my father and mother forsake me, then will Yahuwah take me up. Guess what? Mother Jerusalem forsake him. His father forsake him. But guess what? Yahuwah took him up. That's what you got to remember. Everybody turned their back on the Lord. Everybody but his Father in heaven. Everybody turned their back. Verse 11, teach me your way, O Yahuwah, and lead me in a plain path because of my enemies. Now, of course, you know that is your rod as it comes in order to teach. So we're not going to discuss that. Indeed. So better. And of course, if you're looking at lead, of course, you have Nakah, which is the lead into God. That is noon, cotton, hay. You already knowing that the man with raised arms has separated you unto life. But he's sitting there where he tell you, he's seeking to lead you in a plain path. Plain path. Plain here is Mashor, and that is a level place or an uprightness. So he's asking to be led in an upright fashion. A lot of people don't want to be led in an upright fashion because a lot of people don't want to be upright. As we told the young lady last night, text tell you who the sons of Alahym is and who the sons of the devil are. You seek to do righteousness. You want this man to teach you and lead you in an upright fashion because of your enemies. Who are your enemies? They are the people who despise the ways and words and instructions of the living Alahym. That's why they killed Yahusha. They hated his father. We already talked about that last week. That's why they did violence to him. That's why they got to fall into a pit and they won't get no help. I.e., there's no peace for the wicked. Let's continue. Deliver me not over unto the will of my enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. Y'all already know that in Matthew 26, the people came out there and lied on that man. Cruelty is a kamas, and we didn't talk about that word before, the crying out violence. The breathing out, crucifying. And the word for breathe out here is yafa'ak, and that is to breathe out or to puff. I had fainted unless I believed to see the goodness of Yahuwah in the land of the living. And y'all know what Psalm says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your what? Your strength is small. But because he believed that he was going to see his father, why would he fall out? And I think how I had fainted is not even there. And it is not. It just says, unless I had believed to see the goodness of Yahuwah in the land of the living. Wait on Yahuwah, be of good courage, he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on Yahuwah. But see, let's look at this part right here, right? About the fainting. When we just look at everything in the aspect of what went down, Yahuwah already knew what was going to happen to him. He told his apostles, one of y'all going to betray me. He knew that these people were coming to get it. He was sorrowful even unto death, prayed, did all of that. Didn't fall out, faint, pass out, run away, or do anything. When Peter pulled that sword out and cut that man's ear off, he said, no, cuz we can't do that. How the scripture going to be fulfilled? We're going to look at son. He said, they do these things in a green tree. What are they going to do in a dry? He said, Abba, forgive them. They don't know what they do. He said, Abba, into your hands I commend my ruach. There's no fainting. He's not fainting in the day of adversity because he had great strength. Remember what we started off with in Psalm 54. Alahym, save me by your name and judge me by your strength. Well, we know what strength is. Trust in Yahuwah forever. Trust in Yahuwah as everlasting strength. See, there are many men who are physically strong but are weak because they have no faith. See, again, right? You have levels of masculinity on the natural level that are highly important. But you have men who are on the natural level who are masculine, but they're not masculine in heaven, though. Not at all. Because they don't exhibit the attributes of the strength that it would take to yield themselves over to Alahym and comply to him and trust in him. That's why I say in weakness, I was made strong. I always say those that are weak, let them say they're strong because your strength comes from Alahym. Most of us want our strength to come of ourselves. And that's why we fail. That's why when we get faced with adverse situations or the straits and distress, like we looked at earlier, that's why people fall out. That's why people walk away from the word. See, these are things that most brews don't want to talk about. I know there's some brew that a lot of these people like to watch. I don't really know his name. I ain't never watched his material. But I know his face, and I guess he don't deal with the word no more. A lot of people like, they must have got to him. The feds got, they had to come up. Everybody has to come up with something other than the fact of, because I said that to a couple people like this, maybe because just didn't believe the word. See, that was a concept that nobody wanted to accept. He did all this great work. He woke up so many people. That's all well and good. What if he didn't believe the word, though? Why is that a hard thing for you to swallow that maybe he didn't believe it? See, we have to come up with some fantastical. This nigga ain't that important for no fans to come get this nigga. He ain't preaching no gospel. He ain't saving no souls. That's nigga talk. Because you have to rationalize this in your mind that if he cast the word away, you probably feeling like you ain't too far behind. Because you don't believe it. And you know you don't believe it. See, that's a hard saying. But it got to be said. A lot of people don't believe their word. I don't know why people be walking around here thinking people do. Back to Psalms 118. I do not know why people think just because somebody opened up a Bible or say they know they are Israelite that they believe the word. I don't know where y'all get that from. Amen. You ain't never lied. Psalms 118 and 7. Yahuwah take my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. Desire is not there. So what you have is, of course, that's the czar for help. And he said, therefore he shall see, or ra'ah, that hate them. So he is going to be able, he is going to see what is going to happen to those that hate him. When it says that Yahuwah take his part within that help, I mean, he's a circler, aid, and support. Let's go to Matthew 26 on general principle. You know what we're going to read. You can go to Luke 22 because I'm closer to that. You can get 22 and 39. He came out and went as he went to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, pray that you enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn about a stone's cast and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Abba, if you will remove this cup from me, nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done. And there appeared a Malachim unto him from Shamahim, strengthening him. And being in agony, he prayed more earnestly, as is his sweat was the great drops of blood falling down to the ground. You see you who would take part with them that help him. Because that Malachim came to be a circler, a aid, a help, and support. Going back to what we discussed last week, in that regard, to bear one another's burdens and fulfill the law of Mashiach. Verse 8, Psalms 118, it is better to trust in Yahuwah than to put confidence in man. It shall live. Let's see that again. It is better to trust into Yahuwah than to put confidence in man. See, the thing is, there's nothing wrong with you having trust and confidence in your brother. The problem is when you have trust and confidence in your brother and not in Yahuwah. Just like what Tavon just said. A lot of people put their hope in man and not Yahuwah all the time, too. That's why Paul wrote what he wrote in that 2 Corinthians, that my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, that your hope might be set in Alahym. Verse 9, it is better to put trust in Yahuwah than to put confidence in princes. All nations compass me about, but in the name of Yahuwah, I will destroy them. Y'all know what that is. That's when they crucified him, and that's when he come back. Look what he said he'll do it in the name of Yahuwah, because he come in his father's name. Save me by your name. See, this is the thing we don't want to deal with. See, this is where your bruise who got a problem with will come in and say this here, right? See, it ain't Jesus, it's Yahusha, arguing about this and arguing about that. You know what I'm saying? Arguing about this and arguing about that. Man, we just talking about the name of Yahuwah, man. You know what it is, man. I'm not going to argue with nobody about no Jesus and no Yahusha. So now I don't have the time and the patience. For me, that's a feminine conversation. I know some people, it matters. Yeah, you sound like a woman because you want to strain that and that and argue about this and argue about that. I ain't got time for it. Go with what you want to go with. I'm not finna be rattling off with nobody because they say Jesus cuz. Same niggas that argue with that all day long and don't even believe in the man. All you know is a name. But you don't believe in the words that bear witness to the man who came with that name. Verse 12. They compass me about like thieves. They are quenched as a fire of thorns. For in the name of Yahuwah, I will destroy them. Though you thrust sore at me, I might fall, but Yahuwah have helped me. Let's look at thrust sore. When you got thrust sore, you have the ka. That is the push. That is the thrust. That is the chase. Or to push violently. Or to thrust down. Dalit, cot, and hay. So we already know that the man was raised, arms were separated to be hanged. That's why they coming through, thrusting at him sore that he might fall. Because they were seeking to kill him. But we know Yahuwah helped him. Let's see why. Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8. Romans 8 and 10. Romans 8 and 10. And if Mashiach be in you, the body is dead because of sin, but the Ruach is life because of righteousness. But if the Ruach of him that raised up Yahushua from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Mashiach from the dead shall also quicken your mortal bodies by his Ruach that dwell in you. So that's where you get the help once you get pushed down. That's where Mashiach got the help once he was pushed down. Verse 14, Yahuwah is my strength and song, and has become my salvation. The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of Yahuwah do valiantly. When we look at valiantly, and we're going to talk about that voice of rejoicing in a minute. Of course, you know that is Kayil, and that is strength, efficiency. But notice what he said, rejoicing in salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous, the voice. Rejoicing, first and foremost, is Rena. And of course, that is the proclamation of joy and praise. We didn't talk about that. Rosh, noon, hey. So guess what? Behold the seed of the highest. Of course, you would praise Alahym if you had that type of joy in you. How do you behold the seed of the highest? He that is born of Alahym, sin not. He cannot sin. His seed remain in him. And of course, you have salvation, which is Yahushua, and that is your deliverance. So what do you have? You have the voice or the words of the Ruach HaKadosh dwelling in your tabernacles, only the tabernacles of the righteous. John 14 for that matter. 14 and 15, I'll make it brief. If you love me, keep my commandments. And I'll pray my Abba that he may give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Don't you think that if that comforter is abiding in you, you have rejoicing in salvation? It only dwells in the righteous, and you only righteous because you his friend, and you only his friend because you believed in Yahuwah. So therefore he counted it to you for righteousness. See, he already told you that the knowledge of his righteous servant will justify many. Many people will not be deemed righteous because they don't believe. And that's why you won't be saved by his name. Like we started in Psalm 54, you're not going to be saved. You're going to hell. Look what he say, right? I shall not die, but live and declare the works of Yahuwah. Yahuwah chastened me sore, but he have not given me over unto death. See, this is plain. Y'all know this stuff is plain. Thank the Lord. So when we look at he has not given me over to death. Of course, you know that's Yasar. Chastened and disciplined. He instructed him and he admonished him. He chastened him sore. Come on over to Hebrews 12. We'll talk about the chastening sore real quick. Like I just talked about chastening the other day. We know that he didn't die but lived to declare the works of Yahuwah. We'll read all that too. We've prayed it all out. See, one thing with Psalms, we can knock a Psalms out and one sitting. Verses in Proverbs that can be extended. The Hebrew 12. 12 and 4. You know what? 12 and 2. Hebrew 12 and 2. Looking unto Yahushua, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the stake, despised the shame, and is set down at the right hand of Alahym, the right hand of the throne of Alahym. For consider him that endures such a contradiction of sinners against himself, lest you be weary and faint in your minds. You have not resisted unto blood, striving against sin. And have you forgotten the exhortation will speak unto you as unto children? My son, despise not you the chastening of Yahuwah, nor faint when you are rebuked of him. For whom Yahuwah loved, he chastened and he scourged every son whom he received. Now, y'all already know that the man been scourged. But since you want to see it, Matthew 27, so you can see him getting scourged then. Therefore, he could receive him. And then we'll go look at Luke chapter 24, and you can see that I shall not die, but live, and he will declare the works of Yahuwah. When we sit back and look at declare, we have safar, and that is to recount or to retell. Let me come back around here and tell it to you again, just in case you missed it the first time. Matthew chapter 27, we'll go back to what we were talking about the other day. My testimony is in heaven and my record is on high. Matthew 27, 1. And when the morning was coming, the chief priests of the elders of the people took counsel against Yahushua to put him to death. And when they bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. And of course, this is what Jews betrayed him. I do not think that is what I wanted. That might be Luke. I desire. Or John. It'll come in a moment. Yeah, Mark, actually. Well, go a little further down. Matthew 27 is fine. I was just too high. 27 and 22. Pilate said unto them, what shall I do then with Yahushua, which is called Mashiach? They say all unto him, let him be crucified. The governor said, why? What evil have he done? But they cried out the more, saying, let him be crucified. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, but rather that atonement was made, he took water, washed his hands before the multitude, saying, I'm innocent of the blood of this just person. See you to it. Then answered all the people, his blood be on us and on our children. Then released he Barabbas unto them, and when he had scourged Yahushua, he delivered him to be crucified. So there you go. He chastened him sore, but he didn't give him over unto death, because you already know what the man told you. You will not suffer your Kadash one to see corruption. I shall not die, but I shall live and declare the works of Yahuwah. Luke 24. By the grace of Alahym, we're going to finish Psalm 54. We won't get to Psalm 52, but we might get to Psalm 52, but I'm not going to leave Psalm 54 incomplete. 24 and 22. Yea, certain women also of our company made us astonished, which were early at the sepulchre. When they found not his body, they came saying that they had also seen a vision of Malachim, which said that he was alive. Certain of them which were with us went to the sepulchre and found it even so as the women had said, but him they saw not. Then he said unto them, O fools and slow of heart, to believe all that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Mashiach to have suffered these things to enter into his esteem? And beginning at Moses and all the prophets, he expounded unto them and all the scriptures, the things concerning himself. Let's return. No, I mean, drop down, I should say. Verse 44. This is just on general principle. And he said unto them, these are the words which I spake unto you while I was yet with you, that all things must be fulfilled, which were written in the law of Moses, and in the prophets, and in the psalm concerning me. Then he opened their understanding, that they might understand the scriptures. And he said unto them, thus it is written, and thus it behooved Mashiach to suffer and to rise from the dead the third day, and that repentance and remission of sin should be preached in his name among all nations, beginning at Jerusalem. And you are witnesses of these things. Y'all don't even realize. He said, I shall not die, but live. And he declared them works. He did exactly what he said he was going to do. Death is moved. That is to have one executed, to die prematurely or to be killed or be put to death. He said, I will not die. I will fight, or that is live. Or kaya for this instance, to remain alive. And of course, you know, he hadn't given him over to death because it wasn't possible for him to be holden by it. Psalms 118 and verse 19, open to me the gates of righteousness and I will go into them and I will praise Yahuwah. Since we talking about it, and I never, ever, ever need an excuse. Isaiah chapter 26. Isaiah chapter 26. Open the gates of righteousness. So let's go ahead and look at it then. 26 and 1. Isaiah. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Yehuda. We have a strong city, salvation will Alahym appoint for walls and bulwarks. Open you the gates that the righteous nation which keep the truth may enter in. You will keep him in perfect shalom, whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Trust you in Yahuwah forever, for in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. So when you talking about opening the gates of righteousness, look better, you're going to need a little faith for that to be open. See, he ain't opening that to nobody who don't believe. That's not happening. Let's continue. Psalms 118 and verse 20. This gate of Yahuwah into which the righteous shall enter, I will praise you, for you have heard me and are become my salvation. So you can check that, the north gate, the gate of Yahuwah. That's another conversation. The stone which the builders refuse has become the headstone of the corner. This is Yahuwah's doings. It is marvelous in our eyes. This day which Yahuwah have made, we will rejoice and be glad in it. Save now, I beseech you, O Yahuwah, I beseech you, send now prosperity. When you look at prosperity, it is salak, and that is to make progress, to succeed, to be profitable, to show experience of prosperity. How are you going to succeed but in the son of Alahym? When he's telling you to send progress or to succeed, he tell you asking for the Ruach to be sent. So you got individuals still thinking, oh, we ain't under no new covenant. Boy, they going to take you and them to hell. Because they're telling you you ain't got access to the prosperity. The prosperity is here. See, let me show you why I say that. The third epistle of John. It ain't but one chapter in the third epistle of John. And you can pick it up at verse 1 if you would. The elder unto the well-beloved Ias, whom I love is the truth. Beloved, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper. For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in you, even as you walk in truth. All he said, he talking about this man walk in faith. Look, the first thing he said, right? He said he loved him in the Amun, the Aman. That's what he said he loved him in. The faithfulness and reliability of the word of Alahym. He said, I rejoice when they testify of that Aman or Amun that's in you, even as you walk in such things that I just mentioned. He said, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth. Beloved, you do faithfully whatsoever you do to the brethren and the strangers, which have borne witness of your love before the body, of whom you bring forward on their journey after a godly sort, you shall do well. Now, see, that's a whole nother thing. When we turn around and you look at, we could take this and look at Yahushua, that he did faithfully to whatsoever he did to the brethren and the strangers. Can't we read it? You can read it with the Canaanite woman. You can read it with the Greek woman. You can read it with the Roman centurion. And of course, we know what he did with his brethren. He did well and faithfully to brethren and strangers. And of course, we can all bear witness of his love before the body, and that he did in the godly sort, and therefore he did well. All because he said, I wish above all things that you may prosper and be in health, even as your soul prosper. Prosperity has come. See, you can't have prosperity without no Ruach HaKodesh. It's funny that we still say, Ruach, this spirit, this Holy Ghost, this, that, and the third, and you think it ain't here. You's a fool if I ever seen one. Let's come over here to verse 26 of Psalms 118. Baruch be he that come in the name of Yahuwah. We have Baruched you out of the house of Yahuwah. Alahym is Yahuwah, which have showed us light, bind the sacrifices with cords, even unto the horns of the altar. If my memory served me correctly, when we talk about the sacrifice for cords, and it did, it's Kag. That sacrifice, that's a festival feast, a festival gathering, a festival sacrifice, feast day. Cotton Gamal, the separation of the messenger. Y'all see what that is. He said he showed you light. Go ahead and bind Yahushua with these cords now. You know how he showed you light. You know how he showed you light. But nevertheless, you are my Alahym. I will praise you. You are my Alahym. I will exalt you. Oh, give thanks unto Yahuwah, for he is good, and his mercy endures forever. Now, one thing that y'all going to understand and know, Yahuwah permit, by the time we get through with this book of Psalm, you're going to definitely going to have it registered in your heart and in your soul that you need to make sure that the words of praise for Alahym is in your mouth continually. Come over here to Psalm 54, if you would. We still got Romans 10 on deck. Do you see what he's talking about by saving, oh, Alahym, by my name, by your name, and judge me by your strength? Now, when he look at talking about judging by the strength, now this one here, right, you just got in. Of course, you know that is to plead. Plead is cause. That's Dalit, Yod, and Noon. So you already know that the right hand was sacrificed and it produced life. That's how he was able to judge him by its strength. Let's come over here to Romans chapter 10. We'll pick it up at verse 2, 3, if you will. For they being ignorant of Alahym's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of Alahym. For Mashiach is the purpose of the law for righteousness to everyone that believes. Shalom, brother. For Moses described the righteousness which is of the law, that the man which do those things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of faith speak on this wise, say not in your heart, who shall ascend into Shamahim, that is to bring Mashiach down from above, or who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Mashiach again from the dead. But what say it? The word is near you, even in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. And if you shall confess with your mouth the Lord Yahushua and shall believe in your heart, Alahym raised him from the dead, you shall be saved. For with the heart man believe unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. For the scripture say, whosoever believe on him shall not be ashamed. There is no difference between the Yahudim and the Greek. For the same Lord over all is rich unto all that call upon him. Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. How then shall they call on him whom they have not believed? And how shall they believe on him whom they have not heard? And how shall they hear without a preacher? And how shall they preach except they be sent? As it is written, how beautiful are the feet of them that preach the Basar of Shalom and bring glad tidings of good things. But they have not all obeyed the gospel, for Isaiah saith, Yahuwah, who have believed our report? So then faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of Alahym. That's the only way he's going to be able to save you, by his name. You're going to have to believe it. And many people don't. And of course, we see them being judged by his strength, because we've already looked at that. He judged him by deeming him righteous and raising him from the dead. Verse 2 of Psalm 54. Hear my prayer, O Alahym, and give ear to the words of my mouth. For strangers are risen up against me. Oppressors seek after my soul, and they have not set Alahym before them. They say, we have a law. And it's not, come over here to John 18. They ain't set Alahym before them with their wicked self, and Pilate exposed them for it. And Pilate exposed them for it. John chapter 18. John chapter 18 and verse 28. Because remember, Herod was there. Pilate, clearly a stranger. And he say, oppressors seek after his soul. I think I already referenced this word, but if I didn't, I'll do it again. And it's arrests. And this is people who are terrifying and mortifying and ruthless, tyrannical, violent. So violent people. See, let me tell you something, right? And that's Ayin, Rosh, Yad, and Sod. If you think the American government is violent, wait till you see some people who hate God and the people who serve it. And then you'll definitely see what violence is. If you think the police violent, you ain't seen nothing yet. You ain't seen nothing yet. And the police violent. You know what I'm talking about? Don't make no mistakes about it. Now I mentioned that it's funny, right? Because you know everybody going crazy about the young man who got killed in Minnesota. And I seen somebody say, so you mean to tell me you put your hand on your pistol and you ain't know, and you took the safety off? That's how you know a lot of people don't even own guns, because Glocks don't even got no safety. You know what I'm talking about? Glocks ain't even got no safety. Ain't no safety to take off. That thing ready to fire. Police issue guns ain't got no safety. Nigga, they couldn't stay off safety. Why would the police have a gun on safety for? They got to be ready to shoot at any time. These people crazy. John chapter 18, verse 28. You know what the sad part is? If put everything to the side, as if she did intentionally in her heart, was reaching for her taser and grabbed her gun and killed this man. That means that woman got to live for the rest of her days with the fact that she knows she killed somebody who she had no intent on killing. Now, that's one thing I can say what the big homie told us years back. I done told you before. He said, if you kill a nigga and you feel bad about it, you's a whole nigga. He said, if you kill a nigga and you feel nothing, that nigga's supposed to die. When you see somebody shook up, all that there, that means they either killed them by accident or they killed somebody they know they ain't had no business killing. Because if you pay attention to certain people, they kill somebody, and you like, they don't feel nothing, they don't act like they ain't got no remorse, this, that, then, the third, that means they feel like they were justified in what they did. Whether you feel like they were justified, that's a different conversation. I ain't talking about police on black folks. I'm just talking about people, period. Because, of course, being incarcerated, I've been incarcerated with people who killed. And I've seen a couple of them, boy, they ain't had no problems with it. They felt like that nigga was supposed to die. And they go to sleep good at night. Do you know what I'm saying? And I've been around some people who killed some people, and you could tell it bothered them because that was not their intent. That was not their intent. I say, I don't know the facts of that situation. See, I'm pro-truth. I'm not pro-black, so I'm just not going to get on here and bash on this white woman police officer because I don't know what happened. I wasn't there, and I wasn't in her brain. But what I can say is this. Boy, that's going to be an ugly thing for her soul every night if that was not her intent and that's what she did. And it's still going to be an ugly thing in her soul if that's what she intended to do, because now she got to meet her maker. Because she got the answer for that. She got the answer for that. Only Yahuwah knows. I don't know because I wasn't there. But Yahuwah knows. And when I say I wasn't there, meaning you're not in the minds of men. Indeed. You're not in the minds of men, so you don't know what the intent is. And people see, that's what that city of refuge was about. If we was in the land and that happened, and she did not have any hatred in her heart, she would be able to go to the city of refuge. See, that bothered black people. What you mean? She killed this, they do it. Hey man, I'm not disputing none of that. But you know what our law say? If she ain't have no hatred in her heart, see, we want to say she got hatred in her heart because she's a police officer. At that point, you got to respect the person. I don't know what she had. And again, this ain't no justification for her, but if we're going to have a just weight and a just balance, then you need to have one. If we're going to have a just weight and a just balance, you need to have one. Now, see, now this is the Dean thing. Like I said, if I was there and you hear her speech, how she talking, and you would be able to tell it was some hatred there. But then also, this is another example of why women should not be in those situations. This is a woman in a situation with a man. See, we don't want to strip all that away because you're looking at that as the police, but that's a woman with a man. She can't whoop him. She can't whoop him. See, that's when the duck go to click it in her head, like, oh, I'm a woman. And this a man. This nigga can whoop me. But that's what you wanted. You wanted equality, meaning you want to do what men can do, and now you have to deal with the things that men have to deal with. And unfortunately for you, little baby, you took somebody's life, and now you're facing criminal charges because you wanted to be a man. You know what I'm saying? Because you wanted to be a man, and you want to do what men do. Now you have to deal with what men have to deal with. See, I just want you to look at things in its totality, but also don't be pro-black. You got to be pro-Yahuwah. That means you got to go with what's right, regardless of who it is. I told you I'm not pro-black at all. Being pro-black meaning you lack accountability and you will omit facts conveniently to justify your stance. And that's what we will not do. We pro-Yahuwah. Guess what? If you a nigga and you wrong, shoot, wear that, my nigga. If you black and you wrong, you got to wear that, cuz, like a freshly tailored suit. You don't have to wear it. But if you're justified, then you're going to be justified. But I just want you to sit back and look at it like I said, because I ain't been paying attention to that stuff. I don't know what happened. All I know, I find it ironic. It's that time of year because it's quote unquote springtime. It's their sacrifice season. That I find it convenient that a young man come up dead in Minnesota during the time of a trial of another alleged ritual sacrifice. All they do this stuff is to stir your emotion. Remember, we talked about this before. Again, we talked about chaos and confusion, what I mentioned earlier. That's all Satan, baby. And when you got chaos and confusion, you got stirred up emotions. When you got stirred up emotions, you ain't got no spiritual people who going to stick to the word Alahym and hold fast to the faith. They're going to move according to their flesh to be able to bring forth destruction so Satan might reign. See, Satan cannot dwell in a place of harmony and peace. Again, as I referenced the verse of Proverbs, cast out the scorner and the contention will cease. If there's peace and righteousness, Satan can't dwell there. That's why do you think stuff always happens? Because they have to keep you in a constant state of disorder, dysfunction, and confusion. That's where Satan draws his power from. Because he has the power to manipulate and tempt in those type of environments. So it didn't got to have you in your flesh. I'm telling you this so you can pay attention. So when you move in certain spaces and you around certain people, you should be able to identify quickly, am I in a carnal situation or I'm in a spiritual situation? Because if I'm in a carnal situation, confusion will abound. Dysfunction will abound. Contention and strife will abound. When you're in a spiritual situation, Alahym will abound. I mean, there will be peace. There will be order. There will be health. There will be love. There will be structure. There will be order. Not structure and order for the purpose of oppressing, like the scribes and Pharisees had going on, but structure and order so that individuals can walk in a godly fashion. That means people function in the high, and they're able to function and serve Alahym. That means they stay in the ruach and not in the flesh. Because as the text say, when you're in the flesh, you can't do the things that you ought to do. So you have to pay attention to that. Remember, the book tells you Alahym is not the author of confusion. That Greek word bears witness to disorder. And disorder breeds itself in confusion, chaos, strife, contention, and all that type of stuff. That's why he tell you them works of the flesh. The book is not hard to ascertain who is who and what is what. Let's continue. Oh, I haven't read John 18 and 28. I'm sorry. Then they led Yahushua from Capheus unto the hall of judgment. And it was early, and they themselves went not into the judgment hall, lest they should be defiled, that they might eat the Passover. That's how you know the people wicked. Because you are more worried about not being defiled so you can eat the Passover versus killing the innocent man. And now realizing, nigga, you still defiled, stupid. Pilate then went out unto them and said, what accusation bring you against this man? And they answered and said unto him, if he were not a malefactor, we would have not delivered him up unto you. Then said Pilate unto him, take you him and judge him according to your law. The Yahudim therefore said unto him, it is not lawful for us to put any man to death. They seek after their soul, and they did not seek Alahym before them. They didn't retain his way. Oh, no, let's just keep on going. Verse 4. But Alahym is my helper, and Yahuwah, and the Lord is with them that uphold my soul. He shall reward evil unto my enemies, cut them off in your truth. Now, when you turn about cutting them off, that's a lot. Exterminate, annihilate. Sod, meme, and tile. Guess what? The way of blood is going to bring forth this covenant here. This covenant is going to be laid out in blood, no blood. My man's blood, you shed man's blood, my man, your blood got to be shed. That's what he's going to do. He said, I will freely sacrifice unto you. I will praise your name, O Yahuwah, for it is good. For he delivered me out of all trouble, and my eye have seen his desire upon my enemies. We're looking at freely sacrifice. Freely. Nadaba, if you remember. That is a voluntary free will offering. Serving with a ready heart and a willing mind. You got to be gone ahead and you got to be ready. Psalm 52 is a little long, but I'm going to go ahead. Come over here to Psalm 52 if you would. I'll run it out for these last 11 minutes. To the chief musician, the Psalm of David, when Doeg the Edomite came and told Saul and said unto him, David is coming to the house of Amalek. Why boast you yourself in mischief, O mighty man? The goodness of Alahym endure continually. Your tongue devised mischiefs like a sharp razor working deceitfully. You already know that. Scribes will round that line on the man like a sharp razor, devising mischief. And you know the things that the man hate is a man that sows mischief. And this one here is Hava, and that's engulfing ruin, destruction, or calamity. They sitting around here devising destruction. You love evil more than good, and lying rather than to speak righteousness. Salah, say la. See, remember, he told you to beware of the leaven of the scribes and Pharisees, for it is hypocrisy, because these people love doing evil more than they love doing good. They love being disagreeable. You love all devouring words, O deceitful tongue. Alahym likewise shall destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and root you out of the land of the living, Selah, because the Malachim will go forth out of his kingdom and devour and gather all them that commit iniquity and cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. The righteous shall also see, fear, and shall laugh at him. Now you're going to be like Isaac. He said, you're going to laugh at these people. You're going to mock them. Let me show you why you say that one there, man. Isaiah 66 and 20. Gonna hold him in contempt. What is badly? Actually, 22. Actually, 22. Isaiah 66 and 22. For the new heavens and new earth which I shall make shall remain before me, saith Yahuwah. So shall your seed and your name remain, and it shall come to pass from one new moon to another, for one Shabbat to another. All flesh shall come to worship before Yahuwah, month to month, week to week. And they shall go forth and look upon the carcass of the men that transgressed against me, for their worm shall not die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and they shall be an abhorring to all flesh. You will despise them, and of course you will mock them with contempt and derision. Why then? Verse 7. This is the man that made not Alahym his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches and strengthened himself in his wickedness. That take you back to that parable of that man that say, I'll build bigger. And he said, no, fool, your soul will be required tonight. Because that's what a lot of people's problem is they trust in their riches and they strengthen themselves in their wickedness, and he going to bring you down because you didn't make Alahym your strength. That's who ought to be your strength. That's Ma'oz, if you didn't know. Place or means of safety and protection, a stronghold. Protection, a refuge, Meme, Ayin, U, and Zayin. A lot of people don't make Alahym their protection. Notice that he said when they tell you that to make Alahym their strength, he said to make Alahym your protection. Or the name of Yahuwah is a strong tower, and the righteous run into it and are safe. But I am like a green olive tree in the house of Alahym. I trust in the mercy of Alahym forever and ever. I will praise you forever because you have done it. I will wait on your name, for it is good before your kased, or before your faithful ones. See, that's the thing that a lot of people don't notice. How you keep seeing how he says, I will wait on your name. I trust in your name. That's going to be a overwhelming occurrence in the book of Psalms continually. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word, man. We'll start right here for now. I bless y'all in the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate y'all time. So yeah. Also, that all tied into there's no support for those who do violence. They gonna fall in the pit. They shall die. They shall be exterminated. But also, more importantly, with those songs that you see the overwhelming hope and trust and faith that the individual needs to have in Yahuwah and the reward that is given unto them. But again, blessings out the house of Alahym in the name of Yahushua. I appreciate your time. Yahuwah willing, we'll pick it up on the Shabbat and keep down rolling down this train. And so, Yahuwah willing, till that time. Shalom, man.